You're listening to Everyday Ham, casual conversations for the everyday amateur radio enthusiast.
Welcome to the Everyday Ham, everybody. My name is November 8, Juliet Romeo Delta Jim, and I'm joined here by Whiskey 8 KNX, Rory, as well as K8JKU, James. This is our 11th episode. We have almost made it an entire year, and if you've stuck along with us for the entirety of this, we do appreciate having you along as a subscriber. As a reminder, we have all of our socials posted up on www.everydayham.com, and you can find our Discord, our podcast links, and our YouTube. I do want to call out this month that we made a real stride to post in between of all of our normal audio content, some interesting videos on the YouTube that were non-podcast content. So we took a camping trip in one of those videos. We talked about wiring up a new mobile rig in one of those videos. And our intention moving forward is to bring you a little bit more content in the video format as well as the podcast. So if you have been listening here, we definitely appreciate having you check out the YouTube channel as well. With all those things out of the way, all the pleasantries, welcome, gentlemen, to the evening. It's nice to see you all again. We're recording a week earlier than we usually do, but by the time you hear this, it will be the normal time for our episode here on the Everyday Ham. And I'd love to know what's going on in everybody's shack. And so I'll throw it over to Rory first.
Well, we gotta celebrate something here first. This has been 11 episodes.
It is.
A lot of extra content on the YouTube channel, which I highly recommend. And what will be going on in my shack next week is I won't be in it. I'll be headed out west for a work trip, which is going to include some parks on the air in Nevada, Arizona, and Southern California, which I'm excited about. But in these 11 episodes, we have hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Nice.
So
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Big thank you to everyone who's taken the time to subscribe, taken the time to tell a friend. Keep telling your friends, keep telling your coworkers, tell your fellow hams about our little corner of the internet here, and make sure you like and subscribe. We hope to keep growing. The other platforms continue to grow too. I know our playtime on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, continues to grow. I know the one thing I still don't understand, TikTok, that continues to grow.
If you're on TikTok,
somehow.
Yeah, throw a like on there for TikTok.
Yeah. And I mean, thanks for that, community. There's actually on our TikTok channel where some of our things have dropped. Some of the comments I have taken the time to figure out how to use it. Okay. Some of the comments and conversation on some of our things there has actually been really good. The feedback has been fun to scroll through. Along the way, also, we have our Discord channel, which has grown and continues to grow. Lots of good conversation, making lots of friends there. This month, we'd like to shout out Ben, KB4LS, who's been out doing a ton of POTA. I know I had a chance to work him, I think, at 2 or 3 parks.
Yep, I've got 2 or 3 in my log as well.
And great to have his conversation and participation on the Discord channel. Enjoying seeing his growth in the POTA activities for sure. So thanks, Ben, for listening, and thanks for being a friend of the show. In my shack here, I haven't been doing a whole lot. It's been a killer period of time at work. So I've been not super radioactive. Actually looking forward. It is a work trip out west, but I am looking forward to the opportunity to play radio while I'm away. Hopefully work quiets down here and I can get out and do some radio at home too. One of the big things that I think all of us participated in, at least marginally a little bit, the CQ Worldwide Sideband Contest, which was last weekend. And let me tell you something, and maybe you guys would, if you did, was this your first time playing at all with that one? James?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
A little bit, yeah. I played a little bit last year, but this was my first year where I kind of tried, I guess is the phrase there, and submitted more.
November of last year would have been like right after I got my general license, and I was way too intimidated to get involved in contesting at all, so I didn't even try last year. But I did this year, and it was awesome.
So I guess that's why I bring this one up as a contest to try, because it really is not a super intimidating contest. If you have the last, I think it works out to be the 3rd weekend of October every year, open next year, put it on your calendar, and it's an excellent opportunity to work DX stations. They're all having their sideband, and easily they have their beams are pointed our way, their power is pointed our way, and they're looking for stations everywhere. And if you make a few contacts on that contest, you'll get a lot more comfortable a lot more quickly. Don't think about it too much as a contest when you're working that one. So look for that next year if you missed it.
If you're looking for the exact dates, October 24th in 2026.
Yep. And then last weekend in November is the CW version of it. So if you're a CW operator, the CQ Worldwide CW version will be the last weekend in November this year. So just don't be afraid to contest, even if you're just going to make a contact or two. Turn it on and see who you hear. James, what's up in your neck of the woods?
Well, before last time we were talking, I was on my way to Kansas City for the Lions game.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Lions did not win, but I was able to activate 3 parks out that way, so pretty happy about those accomplishments. Thank you for everyone that tried to work me on those. Other than that, not too much radio stuff. It's the day before Halloween here, so people will know when we're recording, October 30th. So I've been kind of packed with kids stuff, getting them to all their events and activities and getting them prepped for tomorrow. So it's a big day. My one daughter's going to have a sleepover as well, so a lot of planning there. Okay. So fun time, but not a lot of radio stuff. I know we're looking forward to. I was going to try to go out this year, and actually something to talk to you guys about. I was looking at the Winter Field Day. It's not a club event for us, but more of a personal event. So trying to maybe put some plans in motion there. But other than that, not too much. Looking forward to getting back into some radio stuff here in the coming weeks.
Winter Field Day is the one that the person that runs it doesn't love FT8. Is this correct?
That's correct. My understanding is it's not a disaster or emergency communication platform. Therefore, it's not a Winter Field Day platform.
Okay.
Not an opinion, just the general statement.
Well, it's just to be clear, Winter Field Day is not an ARL sanctioned event. It is definitely a different type of event altogether. Very strange bird. I believe that's why, as a club here in South Lyon, we don't actually partake in it, but we could definitely be enticed to do some contacting outside of the official club.
I've never done it.
Yeah,
I've never even touched that event. So it would be fun to do just to see how it is.
We've traditionally done the Winter Support Your Parks here in South Lyon as a broader radio club. So I like the idea, James. We should talk more about it, and perhaps we can get some folks involved here. If you're in the Metro Detroit area and you have interest in Winter Field Day, you let us know down in the comments or send us an email. It might be an opportunity to get a group of you all together that are listening to the Everyday Ham here in the Metro area.
It'll be a good opportunity to get the W8EDH call on the air for a bit, too.
Warm that thing up. We haven't used much of it yet.
And also, maybe my last note before we get into our formal show topics, Hurricane Melissa was making landfall. So, of course, thoughts and prayers with everyone that is impacted by that. And ham radio I do really believe in these type of situations, plays an important role. Yep. So if you see a frequency that's being used for the hurricane efforts, please stay clear, monitor, and let's make sure everyone is safe and we can respond appropriately. So, again, hope everyone's okay. That's one heck of a storm that's blowing through.
Yeah, great call out. I know that there were some frequencies that were being set aside for that emergency response, and they were being noted so that folks weren't interfering and that they were available if they were needed. And it sounds like it was a fairly devastating storm down there. As far as in my shack, not a whole lot changed this month. Sort of on a quieter month of new things in the shack, but certainly enjoying the radio nonetheless. It's the second month of learning more about operating amplified here in the NHJRD QTH. So running more than 200 watts, ran 500 watts for most of CQ Worldwide last weekend. Bumped it up to 1,000 for a couple of them where I wanted to really get in there when the pileups were heavy. Didn't ever think that I needed all 1,500 watts. I think the amp does about 1,500 or 1,600, but I did never use the full power there, the legal limit. It's been a lot of fun kind of experimenting with that. Also ended up getting my NFED, or a new NFED that can handle more power, because my previous NFED was not capable of handling over 200 watts. And unfortunately, not totally thrilled with that setup yet. So still working on a little bit of tuning there. Remains to be seen whether that's going to be a permanent installation in the backyard before the snow falls here in Michigan. But let me tell you, winter draws nigh here. You can feel it in the air. It has cooled off significantly the last couple of days. And I can definitely feel that the final few weeks of opportunity for adjusting antennas, getting them tucked in and ready for the winter is upon us. So if you are in those Midwest climates, if you're in the East here where it does get cool, be ready and get your antennas prepared. But not much going on in the shack here. A lot of fun playing DX. Did get a couple of new DX contacts. I've spent quite a bit of time running a higher power FT8 as well, 500 watts. I know you can hate me for that.
Waking up the whole neighborhood there.
There we go. Running 500 watt FT8 where it makes sense, and have collected some seriously interesting DX on the FT8 side across numbers of bands there, and working towards DXCC, which we recently had a topic here in the South Lyon Area Amateur Radio Club meeting talking about the DXCC award. And so I got kind of interested and reinvigorated in the idea of collecting those DXCC entities. If that's not something that you've looked into, I do encourage you to go do a little reading on it, because as a new ham, it's actually a really cool thing to set your sights on. You can do it via FT8, you can do it via phone, you can do it via CW. It's fully mixed, and it's a really good opportunity to get out there and start dipping your toe in the DX space. But with that being said, that's the roundup of all three of us in the shack this month. A little quieter month as far as that goes. I'll be looking forward to hearing about Rory's trip when he returns, and we may have a video for you on the YouTubes here next month with some of his POTA expedites.
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm not the best at these shows. The two of you have been producing some quality content. Me, I just have what I have. So I'm looking forward to it.
Rory for the looks. He's the looks of the show.
You skipped over one, and I know just to plug another video that went up on our YouTube channel of your Mach E installation.
Yeah. Yep. I did indeed end up buying that new vehicle. I think I mentioned it a little bit in the camping video. I'd gone on a test drive, and I had been hunting a new electric vehicle. I had sold my previous, and so I did get the Mach E. It is in the garage, and it was only in the garage about a week before I realized that I needed a ham radio in there. And so took the opportunity to take the FTM 500, which was out of the old i3. I had removed it before I sold it. Yes, I didn't leave that in there because I didn't think the next guy would appreciate a ham radio, and got that installed in the Mach E. So if you are interested, the Mach E ended up being possibly one of the easiest mobile installations that I have ever done. I will tell you guys, I thought it was going to be miserable. There was a hole in the firewall. The wires went through the firewall easily. I did a little extra on the control of the radio for powering on and off when I hit the start button. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, man, it was a really straightforward install, and it is working like a dream. I'm really happy with how that went. I did model in Fusion 360 a mount for the FTM 500 head that attaches to the bottom of the screen. So if you are using a Mach E and you have an FTM 500 and you're interested in that model, you feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to share that STL file with you. And if you have your own 3D printer, you can craft it at home and get yourself on the air in the Mach E. It works really well. It works tremendously well. I hear no unusual interference on the VHF and UHF bands. I know that a lot of folks have complained that Teslas, for example, are very noisy when it comes to radio. And that's not my experience at all so far, but I have not put an HF radio next to it and run it. So we'll be curious to know how that goes. I know I got a question on that video about whether or not the 11-meter band was functional in a Mach E. And the answer is I don't know, because I don't run 11-meter. But if you're an 11-meter enthusiast, by golly, let us know what you found out down there in the comments.
Does the Mach E have AM broadcast band receive, or did they delete that?
Great question. And the answer was incorrect. Somebody did ask that on the video, and I said, no, it does not have that, because the i3 had that removed. You could hack it back in if you had the Bimmer code or Bimmer Link software. Mm-hmm. But the Mach E does have AM radio enabled by default, which I did not realize until I went back and did a second check on that. So AM radio is enabled. I will tell you that I do hear artifacts when accelerating on AM radio. So okay. I believe that there is noise in the AC motors that drive the wheels.
Well, we all know it doesn't take much. Any of us that grew up in Metro Detroit did up north road trips listening to WJR, and if you're weird like me trying to listen to WCBS and WBBM and things that are further away, it doesn't take much to get noise on the AM. No. So if it's working well enough that it's only minimal and you're still able to listen to, the great voice of the Great Lakes, if you're really in the mood on 760 there, you can enjoy it. For anyone who's looking for a non-intrusive install, it's really clean. I mean, if you're someone who has a lease vehicle or a vehicle that you don't want to do anything too crazy to, Jim's install was super clean. Take a look at that for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. No destruction. You could put it in a lease vehicle, you could remove it all, and they would never know that you were under the hood or in the frunk, I suppose, if you're talking Mach E talk. Yeah, I will tell you, I was listening, Rory, on AM to WWJ, News Radio 950, there with with all of the voices that I remembered because it was my grandpa's favorite AM station. And so everywhere we went, that's what we listened to.
Yeah, no, my grandpa would have been a J.P. McCarthy fan on 760. So that's where that.
Okay.
That was that. We're lapsing into story time. We have a list.
Detroit AM stations will be a whole podcast.
James is over there saying, "What is this? This is not on the agenda."
Sounds like an episode all to itself.
He's
guys.
like, "What are you talking about? This is not on the agenda for the show. Will you quit already?" Okay.
All right, moving the agenda forward, gentlemen. Go ahead,
Agenda
James.
number 1. So the first topic we'd like to discuss is, as everyone has seen, ARL has launched a grassroots campaign in September to try to contact your representatives. They're really making an effort to write letters and making it easy for everyone. And why, you ask? That is because the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Act has been reintroduced as H.R. 1094 in the House and S459 in the Senate. Both were initiated in February 6th of this year. One thing I'm pleased to see is that they do have bipartisan support. Yep. So last I saw, there were 9 Republicans and 8 Democrats that were signed up on the H.R. 1094. Now, one thing I will say is that early stages. So I appreciate ARL. Again, what you may think of ARL is a topic we can talk about, but I appreciate that they're trying to make this early push to make the voices of amateur radio heard. Now, one thing that's maybe a little bit sad is we've seen similar efforts in the past for legislation to be passed with very little, let's say, traction. And the current bill, GovTrack, which is a source that tracks sort of the bills going through Congress, only gives the bill a 5% chance of getting passed in the committee stage and a 2% chance of being enacted. So maybe let's not start betting on Vegas on and if this bill will pass or not. However, I think there's a lot to be said about this bill being reintroduced and the bipartisan support. So I'm curious on what your guys' take is.
They've made it super easy. So why not sign the thing?
There we go.
So here's the thing. I don't usually click on things and put my name on things that's going to the government. Okay, that's not my idea of a good time. But ARL did a good job getting the word out about this ability to get this letter signed and delivered onto Capitol Hill for you. And all you do is click, you put your name, and it gets routed to the correct people there in Congress to do what it needs to do. So they made it easy. I'll give them that. And I was happy to do it.
And one thing we should probably add, for those not familiar with what bill is being passed right now, it limits HOAs, so homeowners associations. So if you're not in the United States, those are legal bodies that represent a group of homeowners within a certain subdivision or district of housing. Yep. I guess that's the best way to explain it. So
legal bodies.
Legal bodies. It limits HOA, so these legal bodies, from prohibiting, restricting, or impairing amateur radio antenna installation on property controlled by the operator. So right now, I live in an HOA. So technically, things like play structures for your kids, anything that would be a distraction to the architectural beauty of the neighborhood, can be restricted by the terms of the HOA. So things like the antenna on my roof that we put up, technically not HOA approved or friendly. I shouldn't say that probably on air. Or my signature 9 from DX Commander in the backyard. Those type of things HOAs can restrict. So it's a bill that was very ham friendly. Of course, ARL would love to see more antennas being installed in neighborhoods. Their argument is that it allows amateur radio operators to practice their skills. So in the case of emergencies, they're able to respond and be reactive.
It was introduced basically in February of this year, and it's nice to see, again, like James said, that the ARL has put some weight behind promoting it. In the past, it was only lobbyist action through the ARL that was really trying to move this thing forward. It's been introduced in several forms, almost 15 times before this particular effort, if not more. I believe it's 15 to 20 times. So unfortunately, like James said, and I think this is a pragmatic look at it, it is an uphill battle. But if it means something to you, or it means something to somebody that you talk to regularly on the air, I do encourage you, like James said, like Rory has mentioned already, to go find the form. A Texas Political Action Committee has actually funded that form, which allows us to generate those emails. And that is what's making it very easy for you to put in your call sign, your name, where you're located, and sending a letter to your state representative so that they are aware that there are people out there looking. I was pleased to see, gentlemen, that we have at least one Michigan co-sponsor on the bill. Mr. Tom Barrett here in Michigan has co-sponsored this bill. I don't think that it takes much to be a co-sponsor in many cases on these things, but it is nice to see that this does have 19 co-sponsors on it, right? It's not something that's just one guy. This one, for whatever reason, seems to have collected more. When I looked at some of the other introductions of this bill and then subsequent languishings of it, there were less sponsors, there was less interest. So if there was any time for it to happen, if there was any time to put some weight behind this particular thing, it is now. And if you are listening and you have not done it, please go do it. I've heard a couple of arguments from hams that are not affected by this, say hams that live on 80 acres of property, saying, doesn't affect me, so why should I go do it? You guys chose to buy into an HOA. And that attitude is really not the right attitude when you think about this as a community of individuals sharing in a hobby and sharing in the experience of operating radio. And I do encourage you to reconsider if you are taking that approach to it, that it's not applying to you because your particular housing situation doesn't have those effects, because you'll be surprised how many or how few folks you have to talk to on the radio when those hams that are in HOAs are legislated out of being able to operate at all.
All three of us would, if we were completely wiped out as HOA residents, all three of us would be off the air.
That's right.
And I think an interesting statistic I saw was approximately 80% of new homes are constructed in HOA-controlled developments. So that, again, this is United States we're talking about, but that's a lot of potential hams that are not going to be able to activate. And you can't always choose where you live, right? For work or family or other reasons.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely something. The one thing I also found interesting, and I didn't understand, in my point of view, I'm like, oh, ham radio, it sounds good. We have a law also enacted for TV and satellite dishes. That those can't be obstructed. So I'm like, okay, who's really pushing back on this as a negative? And I found out there's a body called the CAI, the Community Association Institute. So this is an interest lobbying group brought forward by the HOA. So it's backed by HOA management companies, HOA law firms, and developer organizations.
So all the folks that benefit from HOAs, not the folks that live there. Just so you're clear. Let's let all three of those.
Don't worry, they represent their members. Okay. That's their official quote. So they're claiming that obviously this creates architectural and safety concerns, and that any study they've done is, well, hams can still get approval from the HOAs. It's not preventing them from doing that. But we also know, and using my own experience, that is not always an easy task to accomplish. If you're looking for a villain here in the story, maybe
is it the HOA? It's the HOA.
It makes me wonder what else that organization's up to. But you can find the letter ARRL.org right on their center of their homepage. It's very prominent. You can find the link to the letter if you haven't found it elsewhere.
We will post it in the description as well, both for the audio and YouTube version. So if you have not already, I highly encourage you to do that. If you're a GMRS operator or just a radio enthusiast, go ahead and submit a letter.
It doesn't cost you anything other than a little information. And guess what? The government already has your call sign and where you live. So it's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah. And if you're sitting on your 80 acres of land, help a brother out and sign the letter.
Help all three brothers out here.
Please.
Also, perhaps you are both aware that the government is at a stalemate currently. And that means that it is certainly not in a functional state. And you may be asking, does that mean that this bill is dead in the water? We're not sure yet. And that's a fair question that you might be asking as we're sitting here debating whether or not you should sign the bill or not. Can it be moved forward before this particular seating of Congress closes? We don't know yet. This is going on 4 weeks at this point. The government stalemate is. And we try to be very apolitical on this channel as far as it's concerned, so not taking sides. But what we have right now is a non-functioning government, including many of the oversights and activities that the FCC contributes to our ham radio hobby. And that means that things like this may not be getting the attention that they deserve, but it is up to us to continue to put pressure on the government to reopen, to find common ground, and to move these things forward that matter to us as amateurs and as general individuals.
Yep. I believe we'd be officially in day 30. I believe it started October 1st, so easy math there. So it continues.
It's the officially longest running government shutdown in history.
I believe. So if we're moving gears to our next topic, other exciting news in amateur radio, we talked a little bit before, the Icom IC-7300 Mark II. So we've seen some rumors on the pricing, and also an email went out for Gigaparts to reserve your unit now.
Ooh,
so
okay.
if anyone is wondering what that expected pricing is going to be, drum roll, $95. That is the expected launch price per Gigaparts.
All right, stop right there.
Yeah.
First blush, Rory, love it or hate it?
I don't need it, but let me tell you this.
Okay.
I love it because Icom clearly listened to the growing pains and what people didn't like about the original 7300. And the upgrades that showed up in the 7300 Mark II, the I/O on the backside, the interface, the things it does, they clearly listen to the users. Okay. Now, is it going to beat our DX10 and from the Yaesu manufacturer that we all have grown to have in our shacks? I think we all own a DX10s.
It's true.
Is it going to beat that? That's yet to be seen. I like what they've done with it. Okay. I won't be in the market for it, but I certainly appreciate what they've done with it from what we've seen so far. Maybe we'll be blown away when we get our hands on one. Never know.
Yeah, I'd love to get my hands on it. I guess my take on it is that price point, we originally speculated, I think, close to $2,000, $1,800.
We thought it was going to be higher.
So to piggyback on what Rory was saying about Icom listening, I think $1,500 price range puts them right back in that sweet spot of entry-level first radio with the Icom 7300, which, you know, is a price point they want to be at, and a model of the radio I think the Icom 7300 is perfect for. And with those new features and the improvements, am I going to order one day one? No, it's not an upgrade for me over my DX10. But I do think, again, it's definitely a price competitive radio, especially in the year 2025. When we look at where prices are heading and where consumer electronics have been heading historically, if that really is the launch price, again, that is expected launch price, not a confirmed launch price.
That's what we know so far. Gigaparts felt comfortable enough to put it in an email and set up a pre-reg.
I still feel that's a win. And if we look back historically, what the original 7300 launched in 2016, I believe it was, if memory serves me correctly, it was around $1,300 to $1,500.
So I was just looking that up because I was curious about that. So again, this is just a quick Google here, but Universal Radio accepting orders for the Icom 7300 at a price of $1,499.95, and this was in 2016.
Okay.
Yep.
That price did go down over time, and as I think it's probably, I don't know where it's at now, you can get one pretty reasonably. We do know we'll have the people that argue, you know, $1,499 is cost prohibitive to many folks, but we also have to consider if that's what the original 7300 and this one's coming out, there's inflation and all sorts of things that have happened since the original one came out. I don't think the price is too bad.
No. I am going to agree with both of you on this one. I think that $1,499 is a sweet spot price-wise for this. I'm hoping when this Mark II comes out that the revisionary improvements that they've made to an already stalwart unit in the 7300 knock our socks off. I do think that it lags behind what has been presented to us by Yaesu in the DX10, which is currently being offered at $1,599. But even just last year, the DX10 was selling down in the $1,299 range. Obviously, we've seen some price impacts that have been sort of affecting radio prices in general this year, and we've talked about that ad nauseum on this channel. But I think that $1,499 was right where this one needed to land to be competitive. It gives us as ham operators options in this space to have a nice home radio. Like James said, it might be your first big HF radio purchase that's going to grow with you. That could be your only radio on your desk for years, right? And I like to see that. So I'm glad to see that Icom brought it to $1,499. I think it puts it right in line with the DX10. I think that new hams that are looking to buy today are going to have a challenging decision on their hands. And review time will tell if 7300 Mark II, revision-wise, stands up to DX10 as far as its overall functions, right? I have a lot of things that I love about the DX10, right? Contour filter, I love the contour filter. There are some other filters on the DX10 that I think are hands down best in price class, right? But if the 7300 builds on its pedigree, which we know the 7300 was an awesome radio, it could really, really make the market decision a lot more challenging. And I suspect that we'll probably see both of these radios selling at about the same price here even
Sooner than
next
later.
year. Yep. You're going to see them lined up $14.99 and $14.99.
I have a sweet spot for the 7300 because it was my first radio. I remember getting my general license and I made that big purchase and I was very excited. It's the first Gen 1, Mark 1, as we'll call it now.
Yeah.
Great radio. Great all-around beginner radio.
Absolutely.
I would also, Jim, I'm curious what you're seeing in prices for used IC-7300.
I know, yeah.
Great. Also, if the Mark II is price prohibitive and you want a good radio, 7300 Mark I is still a great radio. I use it for POTA occasionally. I take it out in the field. I've hooked it up here recently. It's a nice, solid radio. So something to consider, especially if you're looking at a used market price.
Yeah, I'll tell
Prices
you,
will only get better.
The Icom 7300 right now, and by the time this episode goes live to you, this will still likely be the story. Main Trading Company has about 7 used Icom 7300s traded in from customers anticipating the upcoming one, and so they're trading them in. So Rich down there at Main Trading has almost 7 of them in stock, and he is blowing them out right now at $725 a used 7300. That is a compelling price. That is a compelling price for a 7300.
So I will say I don't own a 7300. I do have a fair amount on the airtime with one, as one of my friends has one.
Yep.
If you're a new ham or getting into it and you're completely intimidated by what you feel is a difficult radio to use, NEHF radio, the 7300 is a very, very good entry level radio for you to get friendly, user friendly, clear. It's a lot of intuitive things with the touchscreen. That's one thing. And if they carry that forward with the Mark II, I would definitely, if a lot of people, they look at any of these radios that have a ton, they all have lots of buttons and knobs, but there is something about the 7300 that does have a lot of intuitive menus and intuitive touchscreen buttons and things, soft keys and so forth. So I do recommend it for someone who feels that's what they need.
So
yeah,
go on, Jim.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I just went and checked. Maine has 6 of them still in stock. $721.65. $721.65.
That's a great price.
Great price. He has 6. We're not affiliated with Main Trading Company. I just have done business with Rich, and he treated me really well on my fairly large amplifier purchase. So I do recommend him. But I think that the 7300 is a venerable bargain on the used market, and will continue to be with the launch of the Mark II. I think that after Mark II comes out and we see whether or not it sets itself apart from Mark I in a significant way or not. If it does not, those Mark I prices are going to go back up. And so this might be the time to buy if you're looking for a 7300 and don't mind having one generation old. I'm betting that it'll do a lot of radio for you at that $720 mark. So go ahead, James.
Well, I don't mean to be a buzzkill on this Mark II story of joy here, but we are approaching the holiday season. And anyone looking to buy a radio for that holiday season, the expected launch date is sometime in 2025. However, I may have bad news for you. We talked a few moments ago about the government shutdown and the impacts.
Correct.
And the FCC certification is still pending for this radio. Again, this is maybe just a U.S. problem. It is very possible that other regions have this radio launch because their government bodies have certified it for release, but just something to keep in mind. Also tracking that similar story. So we were talking about the Mark II. We were excited. Yay, are we going to buy one? What's our take? And then we also read an article from The Verge that was published on October 28th. They basically say that tech products that are packaged and ready for sale aren't launching in the U.S. right now because the government shut down. The article went on to explain that any products emitting radio frequencies need FCC clearance before it can be sold. Yep. We know that very well. But the FCC shutdown, now at 30 days, manufacturers are facing a growing backlog with no end in sight. And we have seen real-world examples of products being delayed by pretty large manufacturers. So Leica has delayed their if you're into cameras, the MEV, due to holdups with FCC approval. We've seen some sound cards and other equipment being delayed. Razer, which has delayed some wireless controllers, which is a pretty, let's say, standard certification, I think, at this point. Mm-hmm. So are we concerned that this shutdown in the FCC will impact amateur radio? I think it will. But also, will we see the Mark II launch in 2025? Or is Icom going to miss that crucial Christmas market within the U.S.?
Black Friday's right around the corner, less than a month away.
Yeah.
Rory took the words out of my mouth. Purchasing for Christmas holiday has to happen weeks before Christmas holiday. And at this point, I think the backlog is likely to have grown to a point where It would take a darn near miracle for this to be certified and out the door in a meaningful way so that folks could buy it and actually put it under the Christmas tree. That's the sad truth, but that is the state that we're in currently here in the United States. If you're listening from outside the States, be thankful that you may not have to deal with all this crap. But yeah.
Nice way of saying that.
You know what else it'll delay, and hopefully it's in the queue before the 7300 and we just don't know it, is the Kenwood TMD750A.
No.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm hoping for that this year. The Kenwood rep told us at Dayton Hamvention to expect it fourth quarter, but
Seems
we'll
like
see
that's
what
sliding.
happens. I would bet that's going to be sliding further away from the Christmas tree for sure.
Yeah, the TMD D750A, of course, Kenwood's tri-band mobile. It basically builds on the THD75, which is their current handheld, makes it a bigger screen, of course, gives you the full output at 50 watts. We're not sure what 220 is going to do yet, but we've heard at least 20 watts.
20,
yeah, we're hoping for at least 20, but I agree. I was hoping to see this radio. I have basically committed to not buying it out of the gate, so I'm hoping that one of you two can be an early adopter and give us a little bit of feedback on it. But having installed mobile rigs in all of my owned vehicles and having an extra one sitting right across from me, I'm, I guess, Yaesu through and through for now, but I do look forward to hearing whether or not Kenwood's going to change my mind.
It's hard for me to buy something that's brand new. I struggle with buying something right off the line, so we'll see. I might do it, I might not. I want it. We'll see what happens.
Don't worry,
James
Rory.
and I got burned by the FTX1.
Yeah,
and I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm a sucker for a new product.
Does that mean it's my turn to take a hit? So as
sure
I sat
is. Yeah,
over
let's
here,
go with that. My wife would
as I sat
prefer
over
that
here
approach.
and let you guys,
Yeah.
you know, the whole the Yaesu thing there with the FTX1. I'm just sitting over saying, no, I didn't buy one. That's okay.
You didn't miss out. I think you're dragging your feet on the FTX1 was the right decision.
I'm still sad about that. And hopefully I'm still hoping maybe we get someone on here to chat about that at some point, because I'd like to go back through that and see what the current status of the FTX1 is and how people are feeling about it. But
Yep. We do know that they've had numerous firmware updates. I have an idea for hopefully getting us some access to an FTX1 that we could at least do a little bit more review content on. Look at it now that it has a little bit more mature firmware on it and see where that has landed, that FTX1. We'll see. Maybe it's the radio that it is set out to be at the beginning of the year, but it'll be very interesting. So to answer your question, James, yeah, I do think that 7300 Mark II, likely to be delayed. Don't think that's going to be a Christmas tree buy. You're going to have to figure something else out that you want Santa to slide down the chimney.
Your loved one can get you that Gigaparts pre-order and then give you that in an envelope. And then, when you were a kid and you got some socks in a small package, I can maybe
feel
share
the depression creeping
over.
over me. Yeah, I can feel the depression creeping over me. No goodies under the Christmas tree.
I find it. Go on, Rory.
No, go ahead, because I was going to veer, but if you're not veering yet, go first.
One thing I find interesting, though, thank you, Rory. One thing I find interesting at this point is the only email I have seen about Reserve Now is Gigaparts. I was expecting Ham Radio Outlet. I've looked online as well, and some other retailers to also follow the trend. And they have not. I'm wondering if there's something behind that, or they're just being more cautious and taking pre-orders. Maybe a lesson learned from the FTX1, sort of how those were managed. But, we'll see. I'm curious to see how this goes. But I guess no Mark II for me for Christmas. Thanks, guys. Ruin that for me. Rory, veer away.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, we were talking government shutdown, and there's a lot of other FCC-related things that our hobby relies on with the government shutdown, licensing, processing of licensing, and other administrative tasks. And the ARRL VEC is making sure to tell people continue to test. Testing is still available. You do not need an FRN right now if you don't have one. That's the one thing that they're allowing you to work around.
Good to know.
But don't keep it from getting your test. If you're ready to test, still go test. It's just going to sit in the queue for a little while. But they want to encourage people to still be involved, do their testing, do their administrative actions, and get them in the queue as best as they can. That they don't want to see people stop just because they think it's not going to go anywhere. Yep. But certainly don't stop, because once the government opens up again, a lot of those administrative things that are automated will flow right through the system. Yep. So looking forward to seeing things resume, of course, and hopefully it's not too much longer.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking about this because we have one of our participants on the Discord is actually in the situation where he is ready to go. And I think he's waiting on his license because he's a brand new tech, right? I believe he passed and we're waiting on the license. And so it's a bummer, right? You've spent all this time studying, and you've gone and actually achieved that certification, that test. You've passed, and you can't get your license. But stick with it, guys. If you are out there and waiting, and Rory makes a really good point. If you're ready to test and you're confident to go do that, go get that VE testing done. Get it out of the way while it's fresh in your head, and get that license whenever it comes through. And let's hope that that opens up quicker rather than later. As I understand it, if your license even expires right now, technically, I don't know if you're supposed to be transmitting, but you could leave that up to debate.
Yeah, I tried to look and see if there was any official guidance on expired licenses, and I didn't. I thought of that while you were talking, and I Googled it.
I've seen some opinions that say no, and I've seen some opinions that say yes. I think that I guess come get me.
Right.
Well, it doesn't affect me, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, I think if you've been licensed and you're just waiting on the paperwork, perhaps I don't know, that's a tougher one for me.
And if you're already licensed and you upgrade and you have that CSCE, you can always run slant AG and slant AE to enjoy your enhanced privileges right away. And get annoying putting that suffix on there all the time, but you can do it.
Nobody's going to log it with the slant.
All right. I think our last topic was Jim. You had a little bit of an update on the SmartSDR 4.01.
Our resident FlexRadio expert.
I don't know about FlexRadio expert, but I will tell you guys, we talked about this a little while back. Flex did launch their 4.0 release of SmartSDR. So if you're a Flex guy out there and you have seen or haven't seen that it's released, it is out there. The most interesting thing for me that right now is that they did bring some significant noise reduction improvements to certain radios. And they brought a really good description of each of those noise reduction improvements and what radios they apply to in a table format, which I love. Excellent documentation. So if you are
a table,
all of the radios listed, what each of these features does, or if it's brand new, what it does now that it's been implemented. It also gives some details on those things that have been improved. So, for example, noise reduction on some of the SDRs, the algorithm was updated and improved. And so across the board, no matter if you're using a Flex 6300 all the way up to a Flex 8600, you get that new enhancement in FlexRadio's 4.0 release. So this is where we're moving into the faster releases of FlexRadio SmartSDR. This is also where the subscription comes into play. And it's also worth mentioning that there was very interesting feedback on the video that we did discussing the FlexRadio subscription. A lot of you folks think the initial blush was no thanks, never, ever interested. But if you took some time to read deeper and listen to that conversation, maybe your mind did change. The SmartSDR subscription is a very generous subscription as far as model is concerned. It is a very flexible one in allowing you to choose when you entitle, and what you get is, of course, all of the things that were released before, but we won't rehash that. All this being said, today's the day, so that software is out there. FlexRadio is doing a promotion right now for $50 off of that subscription, so if you want to be an early adopter, well, now's the time. They're giving you a little bit of a sweetener, at least for now. We don't know how long that's planned to run, but I've seen a lot of folks take them up on that $50 discount. Reminder, I believe it was $200 and $299 were going to be the two price points. So bringing $50 down, that's 25% discount. I can appreciate a little free money there when we're doing things like that. So I did see some people say they bought in. Downsides, it does seem like there are some teething pains with release. It looks like some features that perhaps were present in previous versions of SmartSDR were not showing up in the basic entitlement of 4.0. Diversity antenna setup was one of those things that I saw mentioned this morning. It's hard to tell. It's way too early with only a day behind us since this is launched, whether or not those are user errors, entitlement errors because the servers didn't respond timely enough after I went and paid my subscription, or something else, right? I think we give Flex a lot of benefit of the doubt here. Like I said, they sat down and did a pretty good conversation with another one of our ham radio pals here on YouTube. And it was a good conversation about why they were doing it, what their intention was, and it sounded like a very logical model moving forward. But just an FYI, FlexRadio does have new software out there, non-stakeholder of Flex for the time being. It does not affect any of us here in the Everyday Ham, but Flex remains to me to be a sort of a mystical thing. And I still have some interest in that Aurora out in the longer term once I understand better what this model looks like and also how that new hardware performs longer term. So we'll find out. in the future that might be a thing. But for now, it's FTdx1010MP and SPE Expert 1.5K over here in the NAJRD shack. That's your Flex Radio update. I know you were stoked to hear it. All right, guys, that's, I think, all we had. And we're trying to keep format a little bit shorter this month, and we will continue to do that moving forward. So if you like the new format, a little bit quicker moving, hitting the high points a little bit more rapidly, let us know down in the comments below. If you found it to be way too bang bang for your taste, let us know down in the comments too. We can slow it down. Hey,
did we improve? I mean, that's
I think we're at 45 minutes. We've been going an hour and 5.
Listen, if you're still listening to us, thank you, appreciate it. But also, please leave comments on anything we've talked about. I'm really curious on if you're going to upgrade to the Mark II. Your take is on the price of the Mark II, the ARL campaign, and if you're supporting and the state of HOAs. Please let us know your thoughts. Share everything with us. Also, leave a rating. Audio versions, by the way, on Apple Podcast or Spotify. It really does help us a lot if you leave a rating or leave a comment. We also love reading them as well.
And we'll take episode recommendations too. If there's a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about, whether it's something you think we know about or don't know about, we'll be happy to talk about either. Certainly always glad to take some recommendations. If if it's a topic that that we're interested in or something we've done and you want to see a little bit more depth, we can do one of our other shorts on that too. So definitely look forward to feedback on that as well.
Yep. All right, gentlemen.
So with that, episode 11 in the book, 73, everyone.
70.
That's it for today's Everyday Ham. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep enjoying the hobby.